If she starts changing around you, softening her voice, holding your gaze a second longer, remembering small details you forgot you told her, you're not imagining it. When a woman begins adjusting her emotional rhythm to match yours, something has already shifted inside her. Most men miss the moment. They wait for a confession, a dramatic text, a clear sign. But attraction doesn't explode first. It settles quietly. It becomes visible in behavior long before it becomes verbal. I'm going to tell you something women rarely articulate. When we begin to emotionally invest, we don't announce it. We demonstrate it. If she starts prioritizing you without making it obvious, that's not casual. If she checks whether you ate, whether you arrived home safely, whether you seemed stressed that day, that's emotional attachment forming, not obligation. Attachment. A woman doesn't nurture what she feels neutral about. But here's where men misunderstand this stage. The moment you sense she's leaning in, you rush. You over-text. You over-affirm. You try to lock it down, and the energy shifts. When she acts like this, calmer around you, slightly nervous at times, protective of your attention, she's already halfway emotionally committed. And emotional commitment comes before physical escalation in a woman's psychology. If she laughs a little harder at your jokes, if she lightly teases you but watches your reaction closely, if she brings up inside jokes only you two share, these are bonding signals. Bonding is territorial in a subtle way. When she begins carving emotional space that feels exclusive to you, that's not random friendliness, that's selective focus. But here's the truth you were never told. Once she begins investing, your job is not to chase harder. Your job is to become steady. Women attach to emotional stability. If she senses that her growing feelings are safe with you, not judged, not rushed, not mishandled, her attachment deepens rapidly. If she starts mirroring your phrases, your tone, even your texting rhythm, that's subconscious synchronization. Humans synchronize with people they feel connected to. It's biological. And when she shares vulnerable details about her fears, her past, her insecurities, she's not just talking, she's testing emotional security. If you respond with grounded calm instead of trying to fix everything, you become her safe emotional anchor. Here's another sign. Men underestimate. She creates opportunities to be near you. Not always physically, sometimes digitally. Random questions. Sending you something that reminded her of you. Small check-ins. That is proximity-seeking behavior. But the most powerful indicator, she becomes slightly sensitive to your attention. If you pull back a little, she notices. If you seem distracted, she asks if something's wrong. If another woman enters the conversation, her energy shifts subtly. That's investment. However, this stage is fragile. If you suddenly become arrogant, dismissive, or emotionally unpredictable, she will protect herself. Emotional investment makes women cautious, not reckless. When she acts softer but still playful, attentive but still composed, caring but not overbearing, understand this. She's not deciding whether she likes you anymore. She's deciding whether it's safe to like you more. And that decision is where most men either win deeply or lose quietly, because once she feels secure in her emotional lean toward you, attraction accelerates naturally. You don't need tricks at this stage. You need composure. You need self-respect. You need to recognize that when she acts like this, she's not flirting casually. She's choosing slowly. When she begins investing emotionally, something else starts happening that most men completely overlook. She studies you. Not in a suspicious way, in a selective way. When a woman is emotionally leaning toward a man, her brain shifts into evaluation mode. She listens more carefully. She watches how you respond under stress. She observes how you treat other people. She measures your consistency. If she asks deeper questions about your plans, your past, your values, she's not being curious for entertainment. She's assessing long-term compatibility. Attraction makes a woman feel. Investment makes her analyze. If she starts remembering small details you mentioned weeks ago, your favorite drink, a story about your childhood, something that annoyed you, that's cognitive effort. The brain does not store insignificant data with that level of attention. When a woman is emotionally neutral, she forgets easily. When she's invested, she catalogs another sign. She adjusts herself around you. Maybe her tone softens. Maybe she becomes more feminine in posture. Maybe she dresses slightly more intentionally when she knows she'll see you. Not dramatically, just enough to feel chosen. And here's the part you must understand. Women do not perform femininity for men. They feel indifferent toward. If she playfully challenges you but smiles afterward to soften it, she cares about your reaction. If she apologizes quickly when she thinks she crossed a line, she values your perception. Indifference doesn't apologize. Attachment does. You might notice she creates subtle exclusivity, inside jokes, shared routines, our spot, our thing. These are emotional anchors. They build identity around the connection. Psychologically, when two people create shared micro-experiences, the brain starts associating safety and pleasure with that specific person. It deepens attachment quickly, but here is where you must stay disciplined. When you feel her leaning in, do not over-celebrate. Do not relax into laziness. Do not assume ownership. A woman can emotionally invest and still pull back if she senses instability. If she shares vulnerability and you dismiss it, she retreats. If she compliments you and you deflect it awkwardly, she questions your confidence. If she seeks reassurance subtly and you mock it, she protects herself. When she acts more attentive, more emotionally present, more tuned into you, your role becomes emotional steadiness. You respond calmly. You don't rush future conversations. You don't push labels prematurely. You allow the connection to expand naturally, because when she's already leaning toward you, pressure is unnecessary. Here's something subtle but powerful. She becomes slightly protective of your image. If someone jokes about you, she defends lightly. If someone questions your ambition, she clarifies it. That protective instinct only activates when emotional investment exists. Protection signals attachment. And watch how she reacts when you speak about other women. If her body language tightens slightly, if her tone shifts, if she asks neutral but pointed questions, she's not jealous out of insecurity. She's measuring exclusivity. Exclusivity is the bridge between attraction and commitment. But the strongest sign of all, she begins to imagine you in her future without saying it directly. She'll ask where you see yourself living, what kind of life you want, how you handle relationships. These are not random philosophical conversations. They are compatibility scans. And here is the truth most men never hear. When a woman starts scanning for long-term alignment, she's no longer deciding if she likes you. She's deciding if she can trust you with her emotions. That's a different level. When she acts like this, attentive, evaluating, subtly protective, gently invested, she's already emotionally halfway yours. But whether she steps fully toward you depends on one thing. Do you rise into leadership or do you collapse into neediness? Because once she senses strength paired with warmth, her attachment deepens rapidly. And when that happens, you don't chase her. She chooses you. Now let me take you deeper into something men rarely understand. When a woman is emotionally attached, her behavior becomes quieter, not louder. She doesn't always increase drama, she increases presence. If she begins sitting closer without making it obvious, if her body angles toward you even in group settings, if her feet point in your direction while she's talking to someone else, her nervous system is already aligned with you. Attraction is visible in micro movements before it's visible in grand gestures. Watch her eyes. If she holds eye contact slightly longer than social norms require, then looks away slowly instead of quickly, that's not accidental. The human brain only sustains prolonged gaze when it feels safe and curious. If she glances at your lips mid-conversation and then back to your eyes, that's subconscious interest surfacing. But here's the key: she will rarely make the first overt move. Not because she lacks confidence, but because emotional safety matters more to her than ego validation. When she acts softer around you but maintains her strength around others, that's selective vulnerability. Selective vulnerability is intimacy forming. If she shares stories she doesn't tell everyone, if she laughs more freely, if she becomes slightly more expressive physically, touching your arm when she laughs, adjusting your collar playfully, nudging you lightly, she's testing physical closeness in safe increments. Incremental touch is one of the strongest signals of romantic interest. But there's another layer most men miss. When she begins valuing your opinion deeply, if she asks what you think before making certain decisions, if she looks to you for reassurance in subtle ways, if she smiles after you approve of something she did, she's emotionally integrating you into her internal world. That's powerful, Because once a woman integrates you into her internal decision-making system, she's already emotionally prioritizing you. And here is something even deeper: when she becomes slightly calmer in your presence. If she exhales more slowly when sitting beside you, if her shoulders relax, if her voice lowers in volume when speaking to you privately, her nervous system feels regulated by you. Regulation creates attachment. The human brain bonds strongly to people who create emotional calm, but this stage is fragile. If you suddenly become inconsistent, hot one day, distant the next without reason, her nervous system shifts from attraction to protection. When she acts like she feels safe with you, your responsibility increases. You maintain composure. You don't escalate recklessly. You don't push for validation. You don't test her emotions unnecessarily. You allow her attachment to solidify. Here's another powerful sign: she becomes curious about your boundaries. If she asks what bothers you, what you tolerate, what you won't accept, she's not challenging you, she's mapping your emotional landscape. Women invest deeper when they understand a man's standards. Standards signal self-respect, and self-respect triggers security. If she respects your time, if she adjusts plans to accommodate you, if she checks in when she senses you're quiet, that's not casual, that's care. And care is emotional ownership beginning to form. But remember this carefully: when she acts like she's already yours, that doesn't mean you become possessive. It means you become grounded. You let her feel chosen, but not trapped. You let her feel valued, but not superior. Because attraction deepens in balance. And when she consistently shows softness, attentiveness, protective energy, and curiosity about your world, you're no longer convincing her to like you. You're proving that liking you is safe. That's when attachment transforms into commitment, quietly, naturally, without force. And that's when she begins thinking about you when you're not there. That's when she smiles at her phone. That's when she feels it, even if she hasn't said it yet. She's already emotionally leaning toward you. The only question now is whether you can hold that position without losing your center. Now listen carefully, because this is where most men sabotage something that was already growing. When she acts softer, more attentive, slightly protective of your connection, you might feel powerful, chosen, desired. But the moment you start behaving like you've won, you lose polarity. When a woman begins to feel emotionally attached, she's not looking for you to dominate the connection. She's looking for you to stabilize it. If she starts texting you good morning without being asked, if she checks on your mood, if she remembers important dates, if she lights up when you walk into the room, understand this: she is emotionally investing. An emotional investment from a woman is never random. But here's the psychological truth most men never hear: a woman falls deeper when she feels she is choosing you, not being claimed by you. There's a difference. If you respond to her increased affection with clinginess, constant reassurance seeking, or possessiveness, her nervous system shifts from desire to defense. But if you respond with calm appreciation, steady, warm, grounded, her attraction intensifies. When she acts like this, your power lies in restraint. You don't interrogate her feelings. You don't demand labels immediately. You don't test her loyalty. You simply continue being the man she felt safe leaning toward in the first place. If she starts initiating plans, match her energy, but don't exceed it dramatically. If she compliments you, receive it confidently. I appreciate that. Then continue the conversation naturally. Confidence without arrogance. Warmth without dependency. And here's something even deeper. When a woman feels emotionally secure with you, she will begin revealing small insecurities. Pay attention. If she asks subtle questions like, "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" Or "You're not talking to anyone else seriously, are you?" She's not interrogating. She's seeking emotional reassurance in gentle ways. How you respond determines everything. If you laugh it off carelessly, she withdraws slightly. If you become defensive, she questions you. But if you answer calmly and directly, "If something was wrong, I'd tell you, I value honesty," and then maintain steady eye contact, her trust deepens. Trust amplifies attachment, and attachment strengthens desire. Now here's the final layer. When she feels like she's already yours emotionally, she starts imagining exclusivity, not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, because her brain has categorized you as emotionally significant. And once a woman categorizes a man as significant, she invests, she protects, she prioritizes. But your role remains the same. Stay centered, stay disciplined, stay self-respecting. If you abandon your goals, your routines, your standards just because she's leaning in, you lower your perceived value instantly. Women are drawn to men who remain grounded even when desired. So when she acts softer, more invested, more attentive, slightly territorial, slightly vulnerable, don't rush to own her. Rise to deserve her. Because when she behaves like this, she's already emotionally halfway there. The real question isn't whether she's yours. It's whether you can maintain the emotional strength required to keep her choosing you. So here's your equation. Attachment = emotional safety plus consistency plus self-respect. Which one have you struggled with most in your past connections? Safety, consistency, or self-respect? Comment your answer below. If this opened your eyes even slightly like the video, subscribe and share it with a friend who keeps asking why things almost work but never fully do. Because sometimes she was already yours. You just didn't know how to hold it.